This is 01:14 GMT on Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2020. Today is the day when the UK central government Secretary of State for the Department for Work and Pensions will appear before the Work and Pensions Select Committee of MPs in the UK House of Commons, whether by remote or by actual physical presence will depend on the actual time, but we are going to, during the whole day today, Wednesday, cover the disaster called the Department for Work and Pensions. And also we are going to update on the disaster that is the Secretary of State at the expense of housing and communities incumbent called Robert Jenrick, who has been announcing all measures of further corrupting the degeneration agenda against the communities in the move that they published Tuesday, 21st of July 2020. And so therefore these two departments are going to be central to the well-being, welfare, and rights of the community, especially in the context of Tower Hamlets and the crane collapse on the 7th of July. The deregulation measures that Jenrick is now pushing, and he will get through, will make communities more insecure and unsafe under the deregulated regime of removing the pathetic level of inadequate housing building control altogether. That is what is going to happen. And there is no sign that Tangam Debonair, who is the shadow Secretary of State for the same cabinet portfolio, has understood the magnitude of this deregulation adventure and assault. And so, therefore, we are going to take a look at the practical realities faced by local communities, like communities in Tower Hamlets, Newham, and other areas, and across other parts of England, and where the people in low income or no income are going to be suffering further violations and losses of quality of life and safety and welfare. And this is something that is going to happen because, despite the fact that Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party in Parliament, is being feted by the right wing as the very suitable potential waiting to become a real leader of the country in opposition to Boris Johnson's regime. And these are the Labour Party people who are actually supposedly still believers in some kind of Labour Party values are silent, massive silent. And this, despite the fact that Jeremy Corbyn has been running an online kind of campaign platform throughout the last week, and he has been on most of this week so far. And there are obviously supporters to his platform, comments more positive than negative. But the maths are that in the House of Commons, when it comes to the votes, the Johnson-fronted Conservatives have got about 80 plus majority. And even if the Labour Party MPs were united, they won't be able to defeat the Conservatives, who will never vote against the government, no matter how violently and virulently they disagree among themselves. Essentially, at the end of the day, Conservatives believe in profit and in no society or social responsibility. And that is what is happening now. And it is happening with more vigor and defiance because of the large number of MPs that they have got than it could happen. And with that, the proportionate responsibility for local communities to unite together on issues to defend the communities in all areas that are coming under attack from the Tories' deregulation regime is the more important. On that basis, we have to look at our hamlets. Is it possible? Is it realistic to expect unity in the community? And the answer is no, because there is a council which is anti democratic, disuniting, and disenfranchising even the elected councillors who are remaining very firmly shut mouth, and they have kept their mouth shut even after 2 weeks since the disaster that killed June Harvey in Bow in London E3 on the 7th of July. And we have been going over the other deaths that happened. The death of the young mother in the bricks that fell from a building under construction in Badet Road 2 years ago, and the 5-year-old child that was killed by a falling tree branch in the structure in the Milan Road where the council was responsible for operating the playground or play facilities where the child was playing with its mother. And the mother will never recover from the nightmare she witnessed as she saw her child die in front of her. And so the council is completely, absolutely plastic council in our hamlets, and the more attacks that come from the central government, the less viable it becomes that the council will respond in defending the community. And today, well, on Tuesday, the 21st of July, the East London Idiotizer online published another plug for John Biggs. Now, that plug is a plastic plug typical of the East London Idiotizer's byline holder, Mike Broke the Crook. Mike Brook gives any excuse and he gives the plug to John Biggs, no matter how unsustainable, unreal, untrue, and illogical the plug is. Now, Biggs is being painted as a protector or defender of the people, private tenants, being faced with evictions because the ban on eviction ends at the end of the or in the third week of next month, few weeks time, and that is what the plug is about. That Biggs is concerned. Biggs is not concerned. Biggs is not even alive. He is completely on another planet. And Mike Brooks is doing the typical racist lying promotion for Biggs under a popular headline because the opposition to evictions and possession proceedings is a popular opposition because it's affecting thousands of people across London and England. And so therefore this is something that he is actually latching on to give Biggs a promotion. And we are saying that that is not what the community wants. The community wants Biggs to be out of the post, and the community needs Biggs to be out of the post as well as the post being abolished. And we are going to update all of that on the actual later broadcast during the day, Wednesday, 22nd of July 2020. There is other kind of important issue about Shamima Begum, and as I have said before, again, Biggs is silent, and as are the councillors, and as is the relevant MP, and as are the two MPs from the borough. This girl has been painted by the newspapers as the actual threat to the safety and security of the whole of the English, British, UK society and population. Now, she may be a threat. We don't know that. But we cannot deny that she might be a threat. We don't know how the brainwashing works and who brainwashed her for, what kind of purpose and whatever. That is not for us to be accountable for. We are demanding accountability from those who allowed her to be brainwashed in the first place, and that is Tower Hamlets Council. Its safeguarding children responsibility was completely abandoned. And somebody said that they went to Syria. The Shamima Begum and her two fellow school girls, they left Britain in the beginning of 2015. That was about 3 months before Lutfur was officially ousted from his post by Richard Morey, the election commissioner. So they went during Lutfur being in place as the incumbent mayor at the time. The point is that Biggs, who has succeeded Lutfur Rahman, has not accounted for the council's failures and has not taken responsibility for the council's failures and has not shown any remorse or any liability in relation to the destruction of the lives of these children. And so, therefore, what we have to ask is, regardless of what the Court of Appeal does or does not rule, or the Supreme Court, or whatever stage she goes through, when she is allowed, if she is allowed, actually to come back to Britain to pursue her appeal against the removal of her citizenship, the fact is that the council has not changed, has not shown it has changed, and there is no clue as to what it was doing as a council, whether it was Lutfur Rahman or John Biggs in post as mayor, what the council is doing about this brainwashing, the prevent, the radicalization, and so on. So we demand that the council publish the actual reports, actual behavior of this council department or council unit or council personnel that were funded by the Home Office or by central government to deal with children being exposed to or made vulnerable to or who were vulnerable to possible destructive brainwashing for whatever kind of aim or purpose. And we're asking the councillors to demand that this report be published. And we're asking Tower Hamlets Council to hold a special meeting, open public meeting, where the council's responsibility to the community are scrutinized by members of the public, and that such a meeting be held for a whole day with adequate break. If it is necessary, we have a meeting or a series of meetings remotely. So we are asking for this. And we're asking the two MPs from the Borough of Tower Hamlets to support this and for them to explain why they have been silent about this report that has been published saying that £2 million that was allocated by the Home Office for the Prevent program was actually distributed by the corrupt employees in the youth services among their friends or among others that were supposedly serving the needs of the Bangladeshi politicians. The Khudilar campaign has not seen any evidence that there was any grant being allocated or any funding being provided for anything called Bangladeshi politicians. But if there were actually de facto activities going on to that extent, to that aim, to that purpose, then that has to be publicly accounted for. And the accounting has to be done by John Biggs. What are the facts? And the councillors have to demand that and have to publicly state why they're silent, if they're silent, despite the fact that we've been drawing attention to this for days now. And we shall be continuing with the bulletins with fuller contents during the day. We'll be updating on the role of the DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, and the role of the Ministry of Housing, which is fronted by Robert Jenrick, who is deregulating. In fact, he's removing all the planning regulations. So he's making societies, communities, estates more unsafe than they already are. And we want Tower Hamlets Council to publish its account of what happened at the Bow at what happened in the Badet Road falling bricks and in the Milan Park. They have not published anything that can be accepted as a legitimate, truthful accounting to the public on the duties that the council has to safeguard the areas in relation to the areas being affected by building control regulation remit. So we are stopping this broadcast recording at 01:29 hours GMT and 2:29 hours in the morning of Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2020. Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.